Hey, appreciate you guys tuning in. The Tastemakers Podcast begins in 5 minutes. Make sure not to go nowhere, because Quote, Brina, Trisha, and Corey, also known as the Tastemakers, will be with you in 5 minutes. Thanks for sticking with us. Oh snap, you still here. Listen, in less than 3 minutes, the Tastemakers Pod will be on and popping. Don't miss Bree, Quote, Trish, and Corey talking about the hottest topics in culture. Again, less than 3 minutes. Make sure to stick with us.
Tastemakers.
Classic. We do more than make a living, we make a life. When everything is dark, we are the light. We are the tastemakers. Aight. Let tomorrow tell the stories that we make tonight.
I told y'all, patience is a virtue. This is what perseverance will get you. In just 60 seconds, you will be live with the Tastemakers Pod. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
For the new tastemakers, sommeliers came out to play. Classics in the current day. For the movers and shakers. For the new tastemakers, sommeliers came out to play. Classics in the current day.
The Beat Breaker. Tastemakers.
What it is, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Hey.
Bang on deck, courtesy of Trisha Bell.
Hey.
How about that? Indeed. It's a Georgia peach version, so it doesn't have any carbonation to it. It's just like a tea. It literally is just like a tea. So we'll see exactly how it works out, how it keeps me going for the night.
Well, she sent you a case in the mail?
Good stuff. She did for my birthday.
Oh, Trisha's sending cases now.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, you sending bottles.
You was in Miami, okay?
You sending bottles.
You was in Miami.
I'm just making sure that I heard that clearly, that Trisha's sending bottles to people.
Not bottles.
I mean, I don't know if you want to say bottles, but definitely large cans. Yeah,
that's a case. You sent that man a case.
for my birthday.
Yeah.
What did Drake say? Don't make me send 6 bottles to Charlemagne.
Oh Lord.
Mercy.
So, giving you a taste of the culture, it's the Tastemakers Pod. That be Trisha Bell. That's Light Skin Corey. Right there is Brina. They call me quote. Again, welcome to the Tastemakers Podcast. Shout to my man B Plus in the chat. What's poppin', B? Been a minute, man. Good seeing you. No doubt. But y'all know how we do every week. We kind of like to get it started and see how everybody's week has been. And because I know, you know what? Brina, we'll go with you first. Trisha, and then Goss, because I know Goss is going to have a lot.
Let's see.
Woo!
Yeah.
Brina, you sound amazing.
Thank you.
Did you get a new microphone?
Just same mic I've been using.
Yeah.
But I did get a new one, though. $200
plus. $200
right.
plus.
Which one is that? Which
It's the
Shure mic.
Oh.
Yeah. Just like yeah.
Big time. Y'all big time.
Shouts out to Izzy Faith in the chat.
Trying. Let's see what's been going on this week. Just work. Busy as usual. No complaints. Everything's been good. Be glad when the weekend gets here, but yeah, everything's good.
Catch just be living for the weekend.
This week, yes.
Trisha Bell, how's the week?
Better. It was kind of rough, not gonna lie.
That's right. I do. Yeah.
I did have a situation that had pretty traumatic situation that happened this past weekend. I was outside with my kids, and we were chilling, and my kids were going one way, and I heard some guys arguing, and I was like, all right, well, let's just go the other way, because I don't know what's going on down there. And I immediately thought gun when I heard them, because they was going in. So I was like, let's just go. We went the other way, and then we turned around to come back to our house, our apartment building. And as soon as we were about to turn the corner, I hear like 6 or 7 shots, pow, pow, pow. And I had to like scoop both of my children up and run for cover, because I didn't know where they were exactly. And it was shaking, crying. My kids were scared. We were all scared. It was crazy. I have not been okay, I'll say that, but I am better. I talked with my therapist yesterday. Praise God for her. Praise God for Jesus, Amen. Who reminded me of the fact that he protected us. And, I clearly heard the Holy Spirit say, go the other way. And I'm grateful for that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Man, sorry you had to go through that. Sorry the kids had to go through that as well. Goodness gracious. But definitely glad that everybody was protected and covered. And like I said, we just pray through the trauma of that, and even I think I put in your joint that the blood of Jesus would wash away even the consciousness of that. And, I don't know about you guys, but I've got some traumatic things that happened to me as a kid that I don't even really remember or have to be reminded of. It's almost like God was like, oh yeah, let me get that right there. Yeah. So that is what it is right there. Shouts out to Judon in the chat. Of course, your man Kenny in the chat. Kiera in the chat as well. Shouts out to all of y'all as well. Mr. Goss, how's your week been, dude?
First and foremost, let me address how I want to say this. Never mind. Whatever. All right. So my week was bad, and then it was good. Then it got worse, and now it's still bad. You know what I'm saying? So it got good because I booked a big show for me and for somebody else. But I'm a little tight because this church, they went through this organization that, you know, does events around the area for a church event. And I get it. They may not know me, which I don't understand because everybody in the city knows the kid. You know what I'm saying? So I felt a way that they went through her to book a church event, and she don't do church events, but I'm her church connect. So when she called me, I was happy that she called me because that's a bag. But at the same time, yo, what do you mean? Why didn't the church just hit me? Like, so clearly I'm not as hot as I was in these streets, as hot as I thought I was in these streets. So that's the first thing. But I was able to get the bag for the kid. I was able to get the bag for the homies. You know what I'm saying? So we secured that. Your boy's gonna be headlining brunch gospel brunch next month. So that's dope. Feel me? Album's still killing the game right now. You know what I'm saying? Cats who don't know about me, but you know, heard about me through music videos, and other people have been sharing the album. So you know what I'm saying? That's always a good look when they when the albums is moving numbers and the streets is talking about it. That's always a plus. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's always dope. I just gotta figure out how to judge how many people have heard it so far, but I'm not sure if the numbers come back quarterly or when I could check the numbers because I never usually do that stuff. I just put the album out and then go to the next thing. But I might gotta pay attention to this joint.
Please do.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I need some help. I need some help. I really don't got nobody. It's just me out here in these streets trying to make this thing happen. And for real, so far it's worked out because Richmond let a kid. I'm the king. You can go ahead and king me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even mad at that. You heard? So thirdly, so then that happened. Feel me? So, you know, the week was looking good. So then Tuesday, you know what I'm saying? They were supposed to, so I told y'all how like I'll speak in code a little bit, but how my girlfriend broke up with me and then she wants to talk to my best friend.
You didn't
that happened.
You told me about that. You ain't told them about that.
I am completely lost.
It has nothing to do.
Yeah. You should be lost.
He's speaking in total code. Yeah,
that's
it's
good.
Total code.
Okay.
You should be lost. I like it like that. Just know my girlfriend broke up with me, and now she wants to date my best friend.
For one, his girlfriend has not quote unquote broke up with him.
Yes, she did. She broke up with me. Trisha. She broke up with me and Brianna. That's Brianna. Brina.
Shouts out to Charles in the chat.
My girlfriend broke up with me. I mean, people know what I'm saying. Like, just like you can't say certain words on YouTube. That's how we say panoramic, or we say panini, or we say whatever. Yeah. So just read between the lines if you can. If not, I'll explain later. Okay. But
I know, but I don't know how y'all gonna know.
All right, quote. So my girlfriend broke up with me and wants to date my best friend, and it looks like that's about to happen. And I'm trying to figure out how I feel about that as a principle of the thing. You know what I'm saying? Not because he's not a good guy. You know what I'm saying? But just the principle of how that works out. I'm trying to figure out how I feel about that. You feel me? So that happened. So then, you know what I'm saying? Yesterday, I'm trying to be the good citizen that I am. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be out in these streets being everything to everybody. Because Paul said that you have to be everything to everybody. You know what I'm saying? That you may win one. Come on, somebody. So I'm at Gelati Celesti. Okay? I'm at this place where they serve the best ice cream in Richmond. Okay? My man, he just quit his teaching job and he wants to go be a missionary. So I support that. So we're having this meeting about how much can I support him monthly? You know what I'm saying? And we talking about numbers and we negotiating boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? All that. And then we have our great meeting. I tell him, text me that, you know, we agreed upon a number. I said, text me. Don't forget that to sign me up because I'm going to forget. So as I drive out of Gelati Celesti, there's a little traffic in the road. So there's a little traffic in the road. So I said, all right, let me stay here until this traffic dies down. So I see a space. Now that traffic's died down a little bit, there's a stop sign in front of me. So I stop at the stop sign, get ready to go into the intersection. I look both ways. There's no cars coming. And so I proceed to go into the intersection. As I go into the intersection, a police car flying past the intersection hits my car. You know what I'm saying? Now, you can get in an accident, but I've never been in an accident with a police car. So that's just different for me. You know what I'm saying? So I get out the car. He called the cops. So I get out the car, and the first thing I do is laugh. Cause I'm like, yo, you a cop for real? You was doing that crazy stuff and you a whole cop? Too crazy. So I was like, so do we even gotta call the cops since you are the cops? And he was like, yes, we gotta call them. So he calls them, you know what I'm saying? The cops come out and they all on the same team now. You know what I'm saying? Cause I hit a sheriff deputy in his car, but he called the city cops, RPD, which I already don't trust. You know what I'm saying?
Ho. So you messing up on live joint right here. You said you hit a sheriff deputy. Don't you mean the sheriff deputy hit you?
Yeah, same thing.
It's not
That's not.
Companies and police do not agree with that.
Don't matter. So what happened was when after he hit me, I came through the intersection, and then I get out the car. We not exchange information, but we wait for the cops to get there. So the cops come, and I feel like they just all got this little huddle and decided it was gonna be my fault. So I was like, nah, we ain't having that. You know what I'm saying? So you know me, I put my phone out because I'm not playing these games, and I got the internet and Instagram, and the whole city loves me. So y'all ain't getting away with this. I know y'all think y'all just hit this little black boy. He don't know nobody, but little do they know I'm connected in these streets. You heard? All right. So I get on the Instagram. I tell everybody what happened. I show the police officer. I did all that. I went crazy on them. Well, I didn't go crazy, but I explained the situation.
I know you ain't go crazy.
I explained the situation, what went down. So then after that happened, my witness, who was behind me, he did the same thing, and he explained thoroughly what happened, right? He said Corey was not at fault. He stopped at the stop sign. He looked both ways, and his police car came flying through the intersection. Yeah. Feel me? So therefore, that causes us to collide in the intersection.
Right.
You feel me? So I just feel like it told the cops
causes
come out there
to collide into you. Go ahead.
It was a collision, yes. So what happens is, yes, there's a collision with both of us. So then the cops I feel like they get in their little holy huddle, you know what I'm saying? And they trying to corroborate their stories and try to make it seem like it's my fault. So I said, nope, y'all not doing this to me. Not at all. I'm not having it. So what happened was after that, they're trying to make me admit guilt. I did not admit guilt at all. That was not right. I was like, no, I'm not admitting guilt. I didn't do anything wrong. You feel me? So I post everything on Instagram, post everything on Facebook. And lawyers hit me up out the buku. Like, don't worry about it. We got you. Boom, 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 blah, blah, blah. Listen, it's good to know white people sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
So while I'm on the scene, again, I'm a pretty popular in all. I'm a pretty popular figure in Richmond. So I go to a pretty large church in Richmond, and in the area that I'm staying in is not far from my church. Mm-hmm. So you got these, these girls who are jogging, because that's what they do. They jog in their area and they, boom, boom, boom. And they're like, oh my God, Corey, are you okay? What is going on? Had they hurt you? Have they, they doing their whole, listen, use my privilege type thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm like, yes, use all that privilege. Yes.
The allies was allying.
The allies was allying. You heard? So I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. It's like, are you sure you okay? They're going crazy.
Right.
So I love them forever for that. You know what I'm saying? So they make sure I'm good, and then they leave the scene. You know what I'm saying? Kenny makes sure I'm good. That's my witness. and then he leaves the scene too. So the cop was like, your court date's October 8th. You know what I'm saying? So then I got to go to court October 8th, but I got lawyers, 3 lawyers ready to go right now. I got Harvey Specters ready to go in these streets, ready to rock.
Harvey Specters.
You know what I'm saying?
They want you to go to court because they hit you? No.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
That's wild.
So
it's crazy.
So yeah, that happened yesterday. So that's what was bad. And then today I went fishing with one of my former students. So that was cool. We caught a catfish. And then actually booked another gig. So the gigs is coming back. I'm out here in these streets. The king is back.
Well,
never ever a dull moment to live your life, Gross. It's must be you just need to keep a camera on you at all time.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody else's sake and for your sake.
And a dash cam in the car.
And a dash cam in the car. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of cats was talking dash cam talk to you.
I'm about to get one.
Yes, that's a fact. And I'm gonna request all they dash cams. I'm going to court guns blazing.
You should, especially if they're trying to pull it on you when you
And you know who helped me a lot, quote? Who's like really familiar with like the law, the system? It's Cletus Cassidy. Shout out to Cletus Cassidy. This dude was spitting facts like, nah, so this is gonna happen, boom, boom. Like, but come to find out, he used to work at a law firm for 15 years.
Did not know that.
Isn't that crazy?
Didn't know that.
So Cletus is a local comedian. Yeah, Cletus is a local comedian here in Virginia.
I need to stop saying Christian comedian. We'll just call him a comedian.
And like, you would never think, like, imagine somebody telling you that Kevin Hart worked at a law firm, like before he blew up.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, Cletus, Kevin on stage has some things going on right now that Cletus is a part of and whatnot. So,
nice. That's what's up.
So he's on the way up. Cletus has
yeah,
been that guy for years.
That was my week.
So that's Goss's week. So yes, definitely never a dull moment. Of course, thank you guys so much for tuning out right here to the Tastemakers Pod. Before we even get into it, go ahead and get them likes up. Let the algorithms know that this is something worth seeing. Go ahead and hit them likes. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do your due diligence and subscribe as well. We got the topics popping off this week. Not many topics, all right? So it should be a fairly shorter show. It should be. But we'll see how that rocks out, y'all. So we're going to talk about the Kansas City pastor who just totally went off on his congregation. Everybody's talking about that. We'll talk about that as well. We're going to talk about how Christians seem to be divided over Beyonce and church girl and all that stuff, and we'll get into that. We'll talk about how your man, The Truth, was not disappointed with Ravi. We'll get into that. And we'll talk about why some women don't want to cook and clean. And you know that'll have a twist on it. That ain't going to be, probably all that is to that. But we'll talk about all that right here on the Tastemakers Pod tonight. And before we jump into all of that, y'all know what we do. It's the meme of the week. Let's get into it. I saw Shakaya in the chat as well, but I always don't know if I always mess her name up. So I didn't want to say it because I always make her name up. Shakia, I'm so sorry. I saw you and I was like, Ms. Danielson in the chat. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what it is. Let's get it, y'all. Meme of the week.
All right. Quote, this one's yours.
Yes. Maybe y'all weren't alive as long as I've been alive. But when the food, when the menu look like this, I'm telling y'all, the food is going to be pretty fire. Especially if it might be in a bowling alley or something like that, and it look like this. Yo, I'm telling you.
Not in the bowling alley.
It depends.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, it depends.
Well, maybe it depends. I'm saying every joint I've been to, this look like this. When I got the food, I was like, yo, whose grandma is in the back getting it?
That's funny.
Whose grandma?
Yeah, every definitely not the bowling alley, not that one.
Oh, okay.
Definitely
so
not the
listen.
bowling alley.
So, but does the menu speak for itself though, or no?
It depends where it's at. Like if you in DC at one of the corner stores, then yeah, you good.
Right.
But if you at the bowling alley, I'm not jacking it, bro.
Listen,
the bowling alley back in my day was bomb. So
yes, that's what I'm saying. Same here. Miss Danielson saying the same thing. Bowling alley joint be slap. Charles is like burgers finna be flames. Like yo. And then even Kiara is like, yo, yep. They ain't got no time for no cute menu because they back there frying stuff.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, I used to work on Fort Bend Road back in the day, a long time in my early 20s. And there was just this grandma was just in the back at the bowling alley. We would go there before we got to work really started for the day. And she would just fry me up every time. It'd be the same. It was like this egg and bacon sandwich. And I'm like, why is this manna from heaven? Like, why? At the bowling alley.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But when I see a menu like this, especially in the 90s and the 80s, it was on and popping for sure.
Yeah, the bodegas in like Philly and New York, it'd be like this and it'd be popping. Like,
come on, man.
Chopped cheese, all the things would be bomb.
Dude, a whole national treasure, Charles. Indeed. Torian's in the chat as well. Shouts out to Torian. The skating rink, yep. See, I don't know why I feel like the bowling alley food was better than the skating rink food. Am I wrong?
Well,
like
my skating rink was like,
Yeah, I ain't like neither. They about the same to me.
Skating
At least
rink
where I
was
grew up,
popping
it
too? Okay.
was.
Quote is out of here.
wow.
I don't know what happened. He's out of here. Y'all know Quote got the sketchy internet. As soon as he tried to debate this menu at the bowling alley, God took him out. Because the Lord shall not be mocked. Okay? That's exactly what happened. Now, in the between time, can we talk about this asada burrito? Because first of all, it's the most expensive thing on. Actually, it's not. That steak sandwich is $7.75. But that steak sandwich is not going to take you the same way that asada burrito is going to take you. I don't trust it, and I don't like it because that's not going to be like steak sandwiches from like Philly. That's going to be like the big pieces of steak. I hate that. I want the chopped up joints. But this asada burrito, I don't trust it.
Yeah, I don't trust the asada burrito on here either. I that's too much for this menu. I don't know who that person is doing, but maybe that is the bodega. You know what I mean? Like maybe
But even at the bodega, they don't be having that.
Okay, yeah. No, the asada, one of these things here doesn't belong here. This is that. The asada burrito does not belong on this menu. So that's what it is. I'm sitting here pressing too many buttons on the MacBook. But anyway, that's what happened. I don't know. Yeah, I slid my fingers to the left, and it was like, no. All right. What we got next? Really, Goss? A pause for sliding my fingers to the left?
All right.
Okay. All right.
Next. This one's Corey's.
Jesus watching you ghost another golly man because he's 5'7".
That's hilarious.
Listen, I can't help that I love tall women. You know what I'm saying?
First of all.
And they need to be secure in their height the same way I'm secure in my height. You know what I'm saying? Talk to me nice.
Yeah. As a man who married a woman that is exactly the same height as me, and then women wear heels. Like, why do guys not have shoes that make them taller?
No.
Women
They did in the
wear heels.
70s.
Well,
Yeah, there you go. That's why the platforms were so impressive.
Yes, but no. Nobody wants that.
Mm-mm.
But
Not now.
as a man who's married to a woman that's the same height, I do be low key hating on jokers who like can consume their wife, like because they taller or whatever. Nah, me and my wife the same height, and my wife Brazilian. She's like an Amazon. Her arms go out like that. I'm like, anyway, it is what it is.
I want me a tree that I can climb up.
Lord.
Yo, you is a wild
Lord Jesus.
Ah!
You know you gotta wrap your arms around the tree and you gotta inch your way up. Y'all ain't never inch your way up a tree?
Yes.
Are we still talking about a tree?
What else would we be talking about?
Okay, on to the next.
Ooh, this one is mine. Only black people will call you, and their first words will be, hold on.
Oh my God.
Always.
That's a fact.
I
Always.
always do that.
Hold on real quick.
Hold on.
All right, what's up, man? What's up?
Goodness gracious. That is the truth. Like, nobody else does this. This is definitely a black thing.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Get your peoples.
And this one?
This wasn't funny. I just thought this was kind of funny. This was
You
kind
got
of
to get booed.
In the beginning of our marriage, I used to be real aggressive with Corey, but I always been ooey gooey. So it'll be like, hey man, why you ain't hugging me? hey man, hey man, when you gonna, you know what I'm saying? When you gonna come touch on me a little bit?
Yo, she's weak. She is weak, yo.
She is.
So, y'all, God has really done a. Hey, I'm proud, man. I'm proud of the work God has done. He's really done the work on me.
Yeah.
So it ain't like Corey is like hoarding love and affection from me. If I wanted, I just go get it. You know what I'm saying? I just go nestle up under them real quick.
That's nowadays. Before, hey, cuz, you gonna come give me a kiss or what? Hey, I need to be rubbed a little bit.
I need to be rubbed a little bit.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine somebody needing affection and asking for it so aggressively? Hey man, I'd be like, hey, what's up? You don't like hugs?
Hey, come get in the bed.
Corey, stop. That's it.
Hold on, that is Nell. Is that Nell?
Yeah.
I missed that. I didn't know that was Nell.
That's what happened.
I'm so
Yes.
thankful that he never threw me back.
Yes.
Look,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Nell. But that's how
Nell?
Toby always be talking about her, though. Toby always be like, Nell one of the dudes. You know what I mean? Like, Nell one of the dudes. Like, we had to soften
Nell?
Nell up.
Who's now?
Nell is Toby Nwigwe's producer.
Well, former producer.
What?
She got fired?
I don't know what happened. I just know they split, which is crazy. Because she's been doing all his music, like all of it. I know. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it because it's so sad. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
No.
I know
That's
that
family.
They don't follow each other no more.
Oh, no. Come on.
Wow.
There's no pictures like on their Instagram and stuff. I don't know. It's so weird.
Oh, no. Charles put that as like Missy and Timbaland splitting up.
It is. No, it literally is.
Yo. B
Yeah.
plus hit us with it. Is it true Nell ain't producing for Toby no more? What?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I got a hot take.
Oh, that might have messed up my night a little bit.
I thought you, I mean, I would think you probably would know, but I just found out too, like last week. I was like, and this happened in January.
I don't know why I low key have been for like the last couple months. I feel like I've been off of Toby.
Because
I mean, Toby, I rock with Toby hard. Like I normally rock with Toby pretty hard. I feel like for the last couple months I've been off on Toby, but it could have been the sound. I don't know.
Oh, it's different. It's different. Which I'm not mad at it being different. I think he does need variety, but I feel like whatever she did for him, it was his signature sound, and it was like it hit. You know what I'm saying? But
Was Nell in the 5-5 video? Because that was the last video where I was like, yo, this is it right here. Everything since 5-5 been like, oh, okay, it's all right. Like he just did a joint with Pharrell, and I'm just like, oh, it's okay, it's all right.
Yeah, I don't really like that song, but
yeah,
that joint, 5-5, that joint's crazy.
Yeah, exactly, Charles. Rather, Pharrell production doesn't really work for him. I hope that get right. I pray that get right because that's supposed to be family. I mean, like I know Toby had bought her a car and whatnot, but I don't know. Toby is the kind of cat, and I don't know if this is. I mean, some of it is his athlete background, some of it is his Nigerian background, but Toby gotta be the head. You feel me? Like I those are the vibes outside looking in that I would get from him. You know, like that's an alpha dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got to be the head of it. And so I don't know. It
was an interview. I'll send it to you, but there was an interview that they did like on stage, like it was at a show or something, and somebody had pointed out this energy was weird. And I don't think I would have noticed it had they not said it, but when I was watching, I was like, oh, it is a little interesting. It was a little weird. I have to send it to you. But that was like right before it.
Interesting. B plus is like, this is on that level when Kevin on stage and Doughboy split. I'm still not over that one. Yeah, that was a little interesting too when it happened.
They split?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a while ago. Yeah. Well, I feel like it had to do with Doughboy and his addictions and stuff like that again. Yeah. And it seemed like Kevin was trying to cover for him, but there was only so much covering you could do.
What's Doughboy addicted to?
Alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
He's an alcoholic.
Was it just alcohol? I felt like Doughboy was addicted a little bit of everything.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I just knew about the alcohol.
That's not funny.
Okay. Then let's go alcohol. Amen. But yeah, I thought it was a little bit heavier than the alcohol.
But why did they split over it?
About it openly.
They can't be cool because he's addicted to stuff.
I mean,
I believe the addictions were causing issues other places, Goss.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where
Rest in
when you're
peace
trying to
to
run
Kenny.
business,
That's crazy.
those kind of addictions could really,
Gotcha.
you know, pop off. So exactly. Kenny said, "Rip to Teddy Ray." Indeed, rip to Teddy Ray. Charles said the same thing. Indeed, rip to Teddy Ray. Another young black comedian. I say young. Teddy ain't really, I guess, that young. I guess, but yeah. So it's crazy. Matter of fact, they about to start pushing the book. Him and Liz about to start pushing the book. I just got my tickets for the DC joint, so me and the wife is going to DC to catch the book signing up. That's the book tour for his new joint. Yeah, Kevin on stage is a whole star out here. I don't care what nobody say. I rock with Kevin.
He definitely is.
Yeah, so they be putting on other cats. Yeah, and both of them are indeed. So that is what it is. Man. So that's the memes of the weeks. I don't forgot where we were. Oh, talking about that joint. That's just hilarious. The whole Nell and she barking orders at her husband to come and give her love. Like,
how would y'all respond to that?
Me, you to bed, 12 o'clock.
Guys, how would you respond to that if a woman was like, "Hey, man, come get in this bed"?
I feel like I'd be with it. All right, bet. Let's go. I'm easily like I'm like water. I can go in any situation. So this how you want to roll tonight? That's how we roll tonight.
Charles in the chat, he said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I don't know that. I don't
Give
know
her that
as
thug love.
As long as she didn't do it in public, I think I'd be all right.
Yo, it's like a moth flying in here. What?
Well, kill that James.
I'm up with that dude. Like, where did you come from? Get out of here.
In private, I could rock with that. In public, I'd be like, "Oh, hey." But in private, yeah. Cool. What you need? Where you want me? Like for real. But
I'm be mad funny in public. I play right along with her. You want to play? We can make a movie right here in this Dollar General.
Wow. The Dollar General.
Yeah.
What is this? I missed the Dollar General. What happened?
He said we could make a movie in the Dollar General.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
We're gonna do.
You're wild.
Okay.
Why y'all acting like Dollar General ain't got stuff that y'all need sometimes?
No. I think I'm a little bit more of a Family Dollar guy myself, but But I'm not gonna hate on the Dollar General.
Oh, I ain't hating on Dollar General.
Not at all.
Not
I got a Dollar General right down the street in my house. I don't care nothing about no Family Dollar.
What type of movie you talking about? You talking about the movie? No, not in the Dollar General. Ew.
Why not? You want to do a Dollar Tree?
What?
So, Charles was like, "Yeah, she can't do that all the time," but boom. And then let's see. Charles said, "If she throw you up on the wall like CB4, it's a no for me, dog."
I'm with it.
Kitty said, "Dollar General's all good, just don't buy their salmon." That's hilarious.
Salmon from Dollar General?
Listen, no, don't do that.
Absolutely not.
Wait. Daryl said Leah told Jacob that she purchased him with his mandrakes and she had claimed to him that night. He didn't say nothing.
But he ain't know though either though. He thought he had Rachel. He was like, "Yeah, Rachel, I'll be there." He ain't know what he. Let me stop. Listen. Of course, again, you are tuned in to the Tastemakers Pod. Make sure to like and subscribe as we get into these topics. Let's see what's up first, y'all. We got this KC pastor. Brina, what we got going on here?
So this clip generated somewhat of a buzz because this pastor went completely off on his congregation because they would not buy him a watch.
Amongst other, yeah.
It's crazy. I'm a roll it.
See, that's how I know you still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted, because of how you've been honoring me.
Ew.
I'm not worth your McDonald's money.
Come on.
No.
I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I ain't worth your St. John knit. Y'all can't afford it no how. I ain't worth y'all Louis Vuitton. I ain't worth your Prada. I'm not worth your Gucci. Mother, I'm saying this, and I promise you, Deaconine, it's not with respect of want. I'm saying it because I want you to understand just what God is saying. I even found out that Movado, you can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters.
Wait.
Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap
Sons and daughters. First of all, you know what? I saw the thing and I said, I'm gonna wait to listen to what he actually gonna say because I did not hear what he said actually until just now. And what?
It's a
Ew,
mess.
I'm disgusted. Who are you? First of all, you acting like you Jesus the Christ. Get up out of here. Get up out of here. Well, it's the audacity for me. It's the audacity.
Nah, but I think sometimes you gotta take into it. Not actually all the time. I mean, sometimes if he feels comfortable enough talking to his congregation like that, this probably isn't the first situation
For sure.
where he has talked to them in that manner. So what you also gotta take into account is that when you go to church, you get trained how to talk to, or you get trained how to receive from different people. So that ain't bothering me none. Anything he was saying, because this can't be the first time that he's talked to that group of people, and clearly they were cheering him on. Nobody was upset. Nobody was like, nobody said shut up, but they were agreeing with him. So therefore, to me, if people want to be under that, just let them rock. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. So there are things that we think are wrong, right? That other people think are wrong. Like I didn't do it, but I was listening. So in my Chick-fil-A commute, I listened to conservative radio. And they're not about women preachers at all. So like the same way that we're offended, well, conservative radio and this guy who created the Carm website and like conservative Christians, they're typically not about women preachers. Mm-hmm. So the same way that we're disgusted and we're offended by this video is the same way they'd be disgusted and offended with a woman up there preaching. So that's why I'm looking at this from a standpoint of perspective of, man, what we think is wrong, they think is okay. But what they think is wrong, we think is okay. So I have no problem with this video. I have no problem with him saying the stuff he says. I have no problem with him acting how he's acting, because it's not on him, because he's going to talk to his people the way that he wants to and that he's trained them to hear.
And that he was probably trained to talk to them.
Yeah. So let that man rock out.
So all of that counts. Brina.
Still sounded like manipulation to me, though.
All church is manipulation.
No.
No.
All
right. Negative. Not all.
No.
Oh,
it's some shady. It's some shady
yes,
people
it
out
is.
there. No, it's not.
No. On some level, we are being. All right, maybe the word manipulation
that is
too strong.
It's very.
But on
strong.
some level, we're being conditioned.
The power of groupthink and the programming that goes into
is manipulation on some level.
To an extent,
I'm telling you. But we just been conditioned. I'm telling y'all. But go ahead, Brina. I'm sorry.
No.
I know. Y'all not gonna receive it yet. I know.
What? No, he sounded like a bully. And that's just what I took from that whole thing. Because you're not supposed to like strong arm a person into giving just to get what you want. And then it's like, hey,
years.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it right though.
It don't
make it right. Like giving to a man or a woman of God is not the only way that you can be blessed. But that's what some people think. It's one way, but it's not the only way. And he was making it seem like, y'all not blessed because you ain't buy me a watch. Or you went out to dinner, but you ain't take me. So nah, I wouldn't go with that.
Child. No.
So so listen, ain't none of this ain't none of this surprising. I'm actually with Goss on a lot of this. This ain't nothing that I ain't never heard before in the church pulpit. Is it something that y'all ain't heard before?
Yeah, we've heard
I've never heard that in nobody's pulpit.
Okay.
I have.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that exact boom boom, but this, this trendy, this way. So here's the thing that I think. I think that churches got to remember that it is no longer the 80s, it's no longer the 90s, and it's no longer the early 2000s. Social media is out here. Okay? And so we used to say a bunch of crazy stuff in the pulpit, talking to our community or our group of people or whatever the case may be. You ain't just talking to your group of people, your congregants or whatever the case no more. Social media is out here. You was talking to the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just think we got to remember that. You were unless you taking all the phones at the beginning of the service, you are talking to the world. Yeah, and beyond taking all the phones at the beginning of the service, even your own AV team is leaking stuff on. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. And sometimes cats will put stuff on the interwebs and it's normal to them, but they're not thinking about what it's going to sound like to everybody else who don't have the full context of the full sermon or whatever the case may be. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of my stress comes with the church, especially the Black church, which I love the Black church because it's just what it is. You feel what I'm saying? I love the Black church. Can you say there's some doctrinally stuff off in the Black church? You can. Can you say the Black church has a hold on a lot of true like depths of foundation and whatnot? Yeah, you can. You feel what I'm saying? So it's both and here, there, you know, whatever the case may be. All that to say, cats got to remember there's cameras out here.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think a lot of my stress more so comes from, I'm always thinking from a PR standpoint, looking in the pulpit, and I'm like, oh God, what are people going to think outside when they see what's going on inside? That's always, and I'm always stressing about that. I don't know what that is, Lord. But anyway, so
I don't think they care though, bro. It don't, like, what you're saying is absolutely true. But if you don't care, then you're not going to care because you've been doing something successful for years. So that pastor probably doesn't even care that got out in that way because those people are still going to come back. You only care when it affects you on a level of like, nobody's going to come back to my church. That's why the bishop in New York is still going crazy. And that's why, you know, you got pastors who have the titles and the you know, the sound bites and the big churches and things like that. And they started way before social media and they're going to be here way after social media because I've come to understand that when you have a certain audience you're talking to, that audience is going to support you no matter what. Like, you can say whatever. Donald Trump proved that to us. Like, America proves that to us. So yes, you're right. Social media is out here, but they don't care because they have their core that's going to be there.
Yeah,
that's facts. That's not a shout out to Art Soul Radio, for real, and that's true. And listen, you could come for somebody's pastor if you want to. People protect their pastors. You better know
they do.
You know. They do. And listen, some of that is just part of our culture. Some of that is let's be real. Like, some of these pastors in community, in relationship, have rode for these people and come through for these people. They whole pastors. Yeah. So when they say something stupid, they be like, yeah, well, you didn't, you know, you don't know when that person was there for me and mine. Boom, boom, boom.
They're gonna look out.
So they, you know, it is what it is. I just wish cats would remember there's cameras out here. For sure. I wish cats remember that there was cameras out here. Anybody else?
Toxic. That's all I can say. Just
I don't disagree. I don't necessarily disagree.
But you're right. I mean, the people, they love it. If you like it, I love it. Go ahead. That's what you want. You want to sit up under that foolishness. Like, but I do feel like that some people can be ignorant of the truth and how they should be spoken to and how they should be shepherded. If they don't read the word of God and what the Bible is requiring a shepherd or an elder to be, then they're gonna accept whatever they get, and that's unfortunate.
Shouts out to Daryl Bell in the chat. Would you finish before I interrupted you right there, Trish?
Oh no, I was done. Yeah, go ahead. You did.
So I mean, I see it a bunch of different ways, right? And I even had to talk to my wife about this week. I see it a bunch of different ways, right? I mean, come on. Obviously, he went too far. Obviously, without a shot of a doubt, he was doing too much, right? Absolutely. Without a shot of a doubt, doing too much. Whatever the case may be. Does that not mean that people should not quote unquote take care of their pastor in some form or fashion, or whatever the case may be. Paul has many scriptures concerning, taking care of, people who, that kind of thing. There's many of scriptures concerning this, you know what I mean? And in New Testament, yada, yada, yada. So, and we also know a great deal of bivocational pastors who work themselves to the bone and don't get anything from the church. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's more of that in the world, in this country, in the Western civilization, than there is of the famous evangelist, the televangelist pastor. Okay, we see one more than we see the other, but there's way more bivocational pastors out here. First and foremost.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get that out the way. Another thing that I think cats don't, and I was having this conversation with the wife earlier this week, is certain institutions and certain church denominations will look down on the Black church because of their seeming to be money attentive or focused situation sometimes. Mm-hmm. And they do this from a high perch. Like, you look down on the Black church asking for money when you sitting on a couple $1 million because of the wealth gap and because of America, slavery, whatever the case may be. So these churches and these white churches and these institutions and colleges and universities sitting on multi-millions of dollars, and then we'll look down at the Black church and be like, y'all shouldn't be asking y'all people for money like that, or y'all shouldn't be, whatever the case may be, not considering history or the wealth gap in America. For every $10,000 that white people are giving to these white churches, it's $1,000 in a Black church.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we don't, you know what I mean? So like I said, these institutions and majority culture churches get to be high and mighty sitting on multi-million-dollar situations.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we don't ask our people for money or anything. You don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to. You got multi-millions in the bank, first and foremost. And number two, your people, your congregation naturally has more money to tithe off of and present an offering. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I think I'm missing the connection that you're trying to make here, because I feel like in my experience, I've been on both sides, and I think you're talking about it in a generality sense. But churches, and I don't know the percentage or whatnot, but churches typically have a lot of money. And it's not, and when I say a lot of money, I know a lot of money is relative if we're talking, size of church, talking where your church is planted at and different things like that. But the two churches that I've been at, so you got Calvary, that I've been at, now I'm at Hill City. And these are both big churches. And Calvary is not necessarily in the best part of Norfolk. Norfolk's like, what's the face? It's a city in the 757. And it's right there in the middle of a mall that closed down in what some would call the hood over there in Poplar Hall. And, it's not necessarily a great area. But they have influx from everybody that comes around the city. But I don't think it's necessarily that they have a bunch of rich people that go to the church. But I think it's the amount, it's the quantity of people that go to the church. And like, when I was there, like, our pastor didn't even teach about tithing. Like, he probably taught about tithing once every 5 years.
Your pastor didn't have to teach about tithing, because at one point, I believe Emmitt Smith and Martin Lawrence were both tithing at Calvary at one point.
But that does, but he wouldn't preach about tithing just if they didn't go there, or if they didn't.
But it's different when you're on a certain perch. And so I
disagree. I don't think so. So let me finish my argument.
Up in the time.
Let me finish my argument. So now I'm at Hill City, right? And I was very shocked. This is the first time I saw it when I first got to Hill City. They don't even take offering. They don't even ask for it. They don't even have a pass the plate.
Majority cultural church. I agree. Yeah.
And it's a quote. And it's a thing of I've always said, depending on how you were exposed to Christianity or how you came into Christianity, that's usually how you live your Christianity out. So along with their very liberal laws, and nothing's a sin, and you can listen to secular music, and you can drink, and you can do all kinds of stuff. That coming up was, that was a no-no. You know what I'm saying? I think when it comes to giving, it's just second nature because they're taught younger to give. Like this is what you do. You give the things you love. So I don't think it's a wealth gap conversation. I think it's a conversation that's in the household is that you give to things that you like. You give to things that you love. Because I was taught that to give, right? I was taught to come up like, yo, you're in church, you give your 10%. Here's your allowance. It's $10. You got to give $1 to church. And then my parents would teach me because this is what we do and then they gave me the whole example of you go to a restaurant, you tip because you had good service. You know, if you say you love Jesus, this is what we do as a family because we love the Lord. So it wasn't a conversation of we're giving because like the church needs money or because whatever. But it was just that generosity was woven into the fabric of who we are as people. So I think that's what it more so is from what I've seen in my experience at Hill City, where generosity is just who we are as people. It's taught in church. That's cool. I've been on both.
I'm letting you know, black people are way more socially conscious than white people. I promise you that.
All right. You say
because they know what it's like to not have. So they're way more. I promise you.
Every black person is not broke.
We're coming into an age where that's the case. The wealth gap still exists, bro.
Definitely.
We're coming into an age where that's the case. I talk to venture capitalists and things of that nature in the black community. They tell me straight up what it is. They have all these businesses lined up that are black businesses, and they're way more socially focused than your average white business. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? So these are just facts from people who work in the space. You know
but just because there's a wealth gap doesn't mean we're broke.
Then you add the wealth gap to it. And so I want to give, and let's say I was taught to give and I want to give. And let's say a white person was taught to give and want to give. There is literally a wealth gap of $10 to $1. So I want to give, and they're giving the $10 for my $1. That's just kind of how that works.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying we're not going to act like every black person has no money and that they're broke, because that's not the case either. So if there are, so if we're like, I know not a lot. Well, let me say this statement. I know a lot of black people that have money. I know a few black millionaires, and I know and now of course I know some broke people because, just the span of people that I know. So, and then I think about my wife,
the people that you know.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking about my white friends. I probably know more millionaires who are white as like personally, and then I know, and then the other two categories, they're probably the same equal when it comes to that's why just people who I know. But I'm saying that to say the point is, yes, the wealth gap is real, but I don't believe that it's necessarily something that we can say as black people. This is why we can't do this, or this is why we can't do that. Because now there's too many resources for us to get ahead, not ahead, but for us to catch up and for us to get educated. Like there's the internet, bro. Like there used to be a thing.
The internet that is a certain years old, and people are just starting to get a hold of it.
Yeah.
We're talking about stuff that people are just starting. You're talking about new money. You're talking new money over here.
What do you think I'm arguing? Because I think you're yelling at me as if I'm arguing and saying something I'm not saying.
I feel like you don't see. I feel like you're not seeing. I feel like you're almost sitting from a place of a certain perch. And don't get me wrong, we both was raised middle class, so I don't really.
I mean, I'm rich, so I could be on the perch.
Yeah, could be true. You're definitely on the perch. There are plenty of people that want to give and just cannot.
For sure.
They
cannot. I agree with that.
Like their bill situation won't allow them to. And there's more people who are black in that situation than there are that are white. That's my from a percentage standpoint.
I never disagree with that. But I thought that you were saying like we just can't get up. Like we just can never be up because of this reason, and we can never come up.
No.
Like that's why I thought that you were saying.
There's no nevers to it, first and foremost. Okay. What I'm saying is this is why the pattern has been the pattern.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is why the pattern has been the pattern. I'm talking about institutions. I'm talking about things that are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. I ain't talking about what's going on in the last decade.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not talking about what's going on, though I believe this still holds even for the last decade. But I'm not talking about what's just going on new. That's what I'm saying. So yes, all of that stuff is what it is. And so somebody said it earlier, a lot of times people preach on tithe out of necessity. And I think that is true. And to an extent, you know, when you're trying to make sure the building is taken care of and you're trying to make sure maybe the staff is getting paid and whatever the case may be, then you might feel the need to do that more often than, again, when you're sitting on multi-millions of dollars judging another facility. You know, so that's just my thought process concerning it. I think the wage gap plays a huge ordeal in this situation, and it's not talked enough. For Sunday to be as segregated as it is, how can we not talk about wealth gap when it comes to tithes and offering and churches having dough and all that jazz?
But at the same breath, when we talk about wealth gap, don't act like there's not resources out here for us not to be behind. Not necessarily catch up, because we're 400 years head start that they got. But right. I think sometimes we take on the mentality that we can never catch up.
No. That mentality is trash. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But when you say stuff like that, people will say, "Yep, that's right," and then they'll be stuck in that.
Because it is right. That doesn't mean it's forever. But
they'll let that mentality paralyze them, and then always use that excuse about why they can't come up.
So don't let that mentality paralyze you. There is a wealth of knowledge and resources out there, especially via the internet.
Let's talk about that more than we talk about the wealth gap and how we can't come up.
I don't know about that. I'm never going to say can't come up. That was never in my statement. My statement never said can't come up.
Why do you want to promote the negative more so than the positive?
We are where we are.
I don't think it's promoting negative. I think it's promoting truth. If you don't understand the truth of the wealth gap or understand what that even means, like we have to have an understanding and knowledge of why Black people as a whole are behind in the wealth, like why the wealth gap even exists. It needs to be talked about. So I don't think it's a negative thing. Sure, it's like
facts.
It's just fact. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know about all this stuff until I was an adult. I'm like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not
it just sounds like we promote it more than we promote the resources that are available to us now. And we promote it more. Like, I feel like Quote mentioned the wealth gap at least 5 or 6 times in this conversation we had about this. So I'm saying when we talk about it the way we talk about it, we stay there and we always focus on that, as if there's not resources that we can use now to try to,
Goss, have you ever heard me talk about the wealth gap before?
Yes, nigga. You always talk about it.
I think you might be right. I've talked to you about the wealth gap before. Normally because of the fact that we're always talking about in the context of knowing shows.
That was the wrong question.
But listen. On the Tastemakers Pod, how often do you guys hear me talk about the wealth gap?
I don't think
it's not something that I talk about on a regular basis. Now, I talk to Goss about it probably because of the fact that we're dealing in business and we're dealing in promoting shows and we're dealing in trying to get sponsorships from certain people and whatever case may be. So we talk about the wealth gap in that concept. So he's right. I talk to him about it a lot. But it's not something I talk about a lot to other people. It's not something I've talked about on the Tastemakers Pod.
Now, Quote, but do you think, in that same breath, do you think if Black people had it, that we would give it? Is that in our DNA?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely.
I believe so. Without a shadow of a doubt.
It's in our, you already said it, like generosity. I think for Black people as a whole, that's been something, I'll say for most of us, like in our generation, like have been taught generosity. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like ingrained. I mean, look at how we could respond to white folk like who have torn us down or whatever. Like we don't respond in a way that we probably, could or sometimes even should. But I do think that if we had it, we would. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Sure.
Business wise, it's been proven. It's literally been proven business. Like that's already been proven. So that is what it is. I just think we have to start. Listen, man, on a Sunday morning, a white church with 100 people could be getting $100,000, whereas a black church with 100 people might be getting 10. That's wealth gap stuff that's not considered.
I want
That's
to
all I'm
ask.
saying.
I want to ask the question Kiara posed. She said, "Is gatekeeping knowledge a thing in our community?"
Yes.
I would say yes and
absolutely.
no. I would say
we
yes.
always. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I would say yes and no because
I got an explanation for my yes.
I would say yes, and specifically, I'm thinking about the music industry and a lot of like gatekeeping knowledge that happens in the industry. But then I also see, because I'm in the coaching world, and it's a lot of coaching world, and I'm always tuned in and tapped into like entrepreneurial, all the people who are killing it in the entrepreneurial world as well, and they are dropping all of the gems for free. A lot of gems, I won't say all, but a lot of gems for free that I have picked up just from listening, you know what I'm saying, and applying it to my own life. But I do think there are, like I said, music industry for sure. And I think that there are some people who are just like, I mean, if you want to be put on to this information, then you got to do da 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 da. You got to pay $3,000 for this knowledge, which I understand to an extent. But if we're talking about the wealth gap, why are we charging so much? In towards certain people or group of people, when we know they can't always afford it, but some people can. So I'm listen.
So.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to Judon in the chat. I think it's twofold, right? First and foremost, our gatekeepers. For one, Black people, from the crab in the barrel mentality to all that, the way that the structure and the systematic racism in America was built, we have been always told there could only be one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So only one of us can get ahead at the time. A lot of this stuff is changing, guys. A lot of this stuff, new money, new resources in the Black community, the internet is available. This is all new. This is all new stuff that is starting to change right now. But the way it's been is we've been told there could only be one. So therefore, there has been some cats who have taken information and hoarded that information because there could only be one. Okay? I believe even that is changing. The Black culture has gone through a lot of stuff and structures and been pent up against each other, and we're finally breaking free of certain ideologies and mentalities. And so, whereas, I say again?
I said somewhat.
Somewhat, yeah. So whereas I do believe that there has been some hoarding of information in our community because we were pent up against each other, because that's how systematic racism caused it to be, we are getting free of that. And of course, information as a whole has become more free via the internet, yada, 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 boom, boom, boom.
You and this yada, 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 boom, boom, boom.
Josh, you were about to say something, I believe, about that?
Nah.
No? Brina, anything?
Nope, nothing else.
Cool. So yes, going back full circle, dude was out of pocket, doing too much, doing the most. Cats need to remember that there are cameras on them, first and foremost.
They don't care.
And they might not care, to be truthfully honest with you. But I think people, for the sake of just everything, like I said, just sometimes the church really be needing just good PR, good public relations just there's certain things that have been said, and sometimes I feel like we walk right into it. Boom, boom, boom. I don't even see who that was. It just texted me about a playlist or monthly playlist or something like that. Check every show notes of the Tastemakers Pod. There's a playlist that's there, just FYI, because I know whoever texts that is listening right now. So yeah, there's always a playlist in the show notes that gets updated on a regular basis. Anyway, so on to the next topic. Make sure to like and subscribe. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend what it is we do right here at the Tastemakers Pod every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. y'all. This is what we do. We get into conversations like that. I just saw who it was that sent that text. Thank you so much. But yeah, so check that out. All right, on to the next topic, y'all. Christians has really been divided over this Beyonce church girl situation. And you see different hordes of people coming out in defense of whatever the case may be. Let's get into the video real quick. We'll talk about it a little bit more after the fact.
Beyonce just released Sacrilege.
Oh, gosh.
The only thing I can account for some of this stuff is somebody done sold their soul to the devil. Now, all I can say to you is this. When you sell your soul to the devil, you get the short end of the stick.
Shouts out to Octavius in the chat.
I am cracking up because he coming in here talking about some good song.
We got the next video on that as well.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, y'all leave Beyonce alone. Center of his will. Leave her alone. As long as she got something in there, that's all right. Amen.
So with this Beyonce situation, with church girls and different things of that nature, I mean, I've seen the Marcus Browns, the Alan Parrs, the the bishop like you saw there, all coming at her neck. I've seen the Clarks, I've seen Tank, I've seen Dietrich Haddon, and many others coming to her defense. And listen, we've kind of touched on this before, but there is a divide. And I just want us to talk about that. How do some Christians see this way and other Christians see another way concerning this situation with church girls and Beyonce? I've got my own opinions, but let's go ahead and go to Bree first.
I think, just simply put, you're gonna have people who like the song and those that didn't. And I mean, like, I said I didn't like it, but to go as far as, saying like she sold her soul and all this stuff, I just thought as an issue of like taste, I wouldn't have done it. But there are other people who just didn't see a problem with the song and couldn't wait to go to a club and listen to it. And it's just, hey, that's your decision. But I don't know. It's a lot of arguing on both sides, though.
It is. Trisha Bell.
I knew he was going to come to me next. Yeah, I think I found it interesting. So I know when Dorinda was saying, like, leave Beyonce alone, and even Twinkie, it's Twinkie's song that was sampled. And Twinkie she has no issues with it necessarily. I don't think we could say, well, Twinkie knows exactly what's being said on the song, and Twinkie knew that and was okay with it. She didn't say that. She just like, oh, thank you, Beyonce, for choosing my song to be sampled. That's an honor. I get that, and I think that is an honor for Beyonce to choose one of your songs to be sampled. Now, in terms of the content, that's a whole different conversation. Like, the content is crazy. Like, what I was saying was, like, I think Beyonce knew who she was talking to, because there are church girls out here who be doing that, who like to get low, pop it like a thotty, and all the things. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, she's talking to her audience. So can we be I don't know. It's like, should we be mad at Beyonce for talking to her audience? If you don't like the song, don't listen to it, right? I don't know. There's a lot of things that are like coming to my mind about the whole situation, but I'm not mad about Twinkie getting her royalty check. That's a good royalty check. That's a big one.
Does that make it all right, though?
Does what make what all right?
So Kirk Franklin, cats be trying to get Kirk Franklin's music all the time. They always do it. Rappers, whatever the case may be, to spit some utter nonsense on a Kirk Franklin sample. Kirk Franklin constantly is sending out cease and desists on that stuff because he doesn't want his joint to be attached with that.
Yeah, because there was one in particular where they sampled melodies from heaven, like the phrase "rain down on me."
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what they was talking about.
No, it was on some.
And so it's like, so it's like with that, it's like, nah,
that's different. No, that's
that's not, absolutely not.
It's not that different, actually.
It's not that different at all.
Same situation. I mean?
So if Kirk is so concerned about making sure that his music is not being used in that way, why is Twinkie not? I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I mean, people have their own reasons for why they like a thing or not. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. She didn't really get into all of that. You know what I mean? I agree with what Charles said. He said at the end of the day, everybody wants to have their behavior justified / legitimized. This song legitimized what a lot of women already do, but might have felt guilty about. And it's like I said, Beyonce knows her audience. So,
Yeah, and God's feel free to jump in here anyway, if you got a real opinion on this. But I'm to the point where my mind is starting to get a little bit off of Beyonce in this conversation and more so to the church folk involved in this conversation. I listened to the song again right before we jumped on the pod just to kind of get another refresher of it. And when I listened to the song, it seemed way more reportive than telling people what to do. It seemed like it was more so just as you said earlier, Trisha, her singing about what she's seeing or knows about than it is about her telling people to do something per se. Though, I mean, you could say, well, drop it like a thotty is a declaration. I think drop it like a thotty is, in this sense, is more of a what I'm seeing. What you do what you do, do what you do what you do. I think it's more of a that than it is a declaration. So, I mean, Beyonce made worldly music. Beyonce gonna do what Beyonce do. I don't know that I really care about the Beyonce element of this. Was I greatly disappointed by the song? Yeah, I was, because I think I kind of got hoodwinked. Oh, Beyonce made a song called Church Girls. Oh, we know she kind of was raised in the church a little bit. Let's go ahead and see what this might have been about.
Something different.
Yeah, I think it might have been something different. Played. You know what I'm saying? And I got played. You know what I mean? I'm upset I got played, or whatever the case may be. But the more I listen to the track, I feel like it's more reportive, more this is what I see, or what I'm speaking to, what I know people are doing, or whatever the case may be, than it is telling people to do something per se. And that's just my, I'm not saying that's 100. I'm just saying that's what I'm seeing, whether or not people are trying to find out Beyonce saved, Beyonce worshiped the devil. I ain't necessarily there. I don't know that Beyonce worships the devil. I don't know that Beyonce is a Christian. At the end of the day, I got no heaven or hell to put her in no place.
Right.
You know what I mean? None of us do, right? I don't subscribe that every Christian needs to be straight rocking out to Beyonce all the time either. I don't subscribe to that either. Does that mean you can't enjoy her music? No, I'm not saying you can't enjoy her music either to an extent. You just got to know. I think one thing I feel like we are starting to do in the church, though, I'll get to that a little bit later. I'll get to that now. So like we forget how many single people are out there in the church, single women, single guys, or whatever the case may be. And is it okay to listen to mainstream or secular music? Yeah, that's part of your liberties. You can do that.
Yes.
Is it always wise for you to do that as a single person necessarily? Probably not.
Yeah.
Are we gonna act like it has absolutely no effect on you, especially if if you're horny or something like that? Probably not. You probably do. You feel what I'm saying? And I think we are forgetting that element of it. You feel what I'm saying as well? I don't necessarily have any issue myself listening to mainstream music, but if it gets me aroused, I got a place to get that, anyway. So my point is I feel like we are forgetting about that element to an extent, just not operating in wisdom. Everything is not expedient, or where the case may be. So anyway, that's what I'm saying about that. I'm more so focused on the Clark sisters. I'm more focused on Twinkie, or why she is comfortable. I think, don't be wrong, it's a big thing to have one of the biggest superstars in the world to sample your joint. I almost said supernatural, right? It is a big thing to have a big superstar sample your joint, and I'm sure that's a huge royalty check.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't know if that's righteous though. You can't buy my silence like that. You feel me? For something I create. You know what I mean? If somebody,
I think it's too. And we don't know how she's viewing it, Twinkie specifically. Like,
I don't know. This ain't the first time.
Oh, I don't know nothing. I don't really know much about her. What do you mean by that?
I'm saying this ain't even the first time Beyonce sampled the Clark sisters, is it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Or was it Jay-Z?
I don't know. It might have been Jay-Z.
It might have been Jay-Z. The Carters be sampling the Clarks. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Jay-Z won't raise on no Clark sisters. So to me, that's a Beyonce influence. To my knowledge.
This is an interesting question too, because I saw Tank's comment, because he was like, yeah, gospel singers, they sample secular singers all the time, secular songs on a regular basis. So he's like, I don't like, what's the difference? And he was just like, well, what's the difference? I mean, that's a good point. I don't know. What is the difference?
Anybody want to jump on that before? No? Okay. So the difference is, listen, Beyonce samples your joint and puts trash on it. And you go after her like, yo, you're going to give me money for that. That's one thing. Beyonce goes to you and asks to sample your joint. And you're just like, yeah, do what you do. And then she releases the track and you're like, oh, yeah, great, whatever the case may be. To me, that's another thing. To me, that's just another thing. I don't know. I'm not a musician or an artist, so I try not to speak for musicians or an artist. I don't know that I would want something that I create to be attached to certain things. Or I think or more or less, I think I'd probably make a statement saying at least, hey, you know what? Everything that she talked about in this track, I don't really rock with and think y'all should be doing. Yeah. But I think she was just telling what she's already seeing y'all doing. Y'all need to get y'all's life together. That's one, you know what I mean? That's, all that is one thing. But just taking a check and being supportive and being quiet, that's a little suspect too, though, ain't it?
What do you mean being quiet? Because I don't think she's been quiet.
Being quiet about the fact that
you're saying
the content of the track.
Okay. Yeah, right. Gotcha.
Theoretically seeming to be very supportive of the content, the track, and the artist.
Yeah.
I think that's a little, it might be a little sus.
What?
No?
I don't, it didn't, honestly, I don't, because I don't know Twinkie. I don't know. I think it just depends on how you see the situation, and if she's okay with it. I honestly, for me, I'm like, does she know what the content is? Like, has she actually listened to or read the words to the song? Like, maybe she did it. Maybe she was just happy that her song.
Somebody has had to have by this time. At this point, Charles said something about something being a terrible point. Charles, clarify what you said. I know Charles is very artist.
I think it's talking about Tank.
Okay. I know Charles is real pro artist, and I'm pro artist too for the most part too. But in certain liberties, he's out there in California. So let me stop messing with you. But if you can clarify that point for me, Charles. So I don't know. That's my thought process. Do you just let people take your stuff? Go ahead, Bree. Thank you.
I think that she probably thought it was a good business decision because this is the same Twinkie. Well, I mean, I'm just saying this is the same Twinkie that also sold her entire catalog for a car. And it's like,
what?
Yeah. So when the Clark sisters, when they first started early in the music business, she wrote all of their songs.
Yeah.
So she sold her entire catalog.
Wow.
For a car. And I think that was a scene in the movie where her mother was like, that was a horrible deal. So it's like, I think in the terms of her, clearing the sample, I think she did it as a business decision. Like that's just probably how she processed it. And then after the fact, now she has to check those lyrics.
Got you. Charles, okay, I'm with you on Tank. Yeah, Tank. Yeah.
Not
Tank,
exact.
What Goss, you the resident artist.
Quiet.
You're the resident artist, and you have been quiet.
Because I don't care for real.
I knew he was gonna say that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of talking about it. Like people talk about this since the album came out. It's been out for a while. I just really don't care for real.
So somebody samples something on your joint, and just talk real sexual and probably anti some of the things, your morals and your beliefs on it.
Yeah.
What's your next move?
I probably won't let him do it because I got morals, so I probably wouldn't do it.
Okay.
But like, I'm not saying I probably shouldn't say I got morals. That's why I wouldn't do it. But my standards, I wouldn't, from what I want to do with my life and how I want to be viewed and things like that, I probably wouldn't let him do it. But I'm not judging Twinkie for doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I probably personally wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
No, I think that's where I'm at with it. You know what I mean? I don't know that I really care 100%. I just want to acknowledge that it's happening, and maybe we shouldn't be so nonchalant about it. You know what I mean?
People have been doing this for a bunch of gospel artists. Like, this isn't the first gospel artist that sampled. Yeah,
so many artists. That's why I'm like, I mean, I'm not like nonchalant, like, oh my gosh, the song is amazing and like everything she's saying we should do. Like, I'm not saying that either. I'm just like, why is it so different when Beyonce does it as opposed to the baby or whoever? You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, what did the baby do?
I'm using another artist's name who may have sampled, who may have sampled a gospel song. I mean, artists, like I said, artists do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, what is the difference between Beyonce and any other secular artist or mainstream artist?
We say artists do it all the time, but what
I mean, we
secular
even mentioned Jay-Z sampling another Clark Sisters song, but did they make a big deal like this? You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what confuses me with the Christian like audience who are like, oh, Beyonce worships the devil because she sampled. It's just interesting to me.
So I was just caping for Kirk Franklin because he has talked about sending those seeds and all that stuff, and that's integrity and that's morals. But didn't Kirk sign off on the Big Sean joint too?
I think he did. I think that he did. That's what I'm saying.
What song was that? What song was that?
I don't know.
Was not what Big Sean song, but what Kirk song? Was it a Kirk song? Am I off?
I don't know.
Y'all know what I'm talking about? Big Sean had a big record. Somebody in the chat, please help us out. Big Sean, big records that sampled gospel joint. I think it was a Kirk song. Dag nabbit. Somebody can Google that.
Hold on.
But yeah, so anyway, it's just a thought. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I understand the temptation. I understand them bags be nice.
Let me see.
Yeah. No, Charles. I understand what track of his is, but what song was it? It was a Christian song. I understand it was. I don't you. You know what I'm talking about? I don't give it. It was that joint. You know what I'm talking about?
That was a gospel song?
No. It was a Big Sean joint. I don't F with you.
Yeah.
But he had a sample on that joint, and I'm trying to remember what the sample was.
You're saying that the sample was a gospel song?
Oh, yeah, it was Big Sean. It was Big Sean. It was Big Sean.
It was that joint. It was Kirk.
He sampled DJ Rogers' "Say You Love Me." It's a classic gospel song.
Huh.
Yeah, it's one of the top songs.
DJ Rogers' "Say You Love Me."
Yeah, so it says classic gospel song. We'd have to play it to hear it because
I'm hearing in my head, oh, I think it was the sweetest thing.
I
It
know.
is the sweetest thing I know.
Really?
I could be wrong.
I'm
but
trying to figure out how you're hearing that. That's something about the name Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. Something about the name of Jesus. Yes. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
He sampled that?
It sounds like that. It might not be exactly that, but it's in it's better. Somebody in the chat save us.
The Hawkins family, Be Grateful was sampled by Lil Wayne.
Okay. But what was the song about? What was the Lil Wayne song about? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You know
I'm sure it wasn't anything holy or wholesome.
It probably won't.
Judon, thank you. Yes. Judon is hitting it. It's not that, it's not the sweetest thing. It's not something about the name of Jesus.
Oh, be encouraged.
William Beckton?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I know that song.
Yes, thank you, Judon. Thank you. Yes. So Kirk is solid on his. Kirk has not let cats go out of the bag with his joint, without the stamp. But yes, that William, what was it? William Beckman?
William Beckton.
Beckton, which I sometimes get confused with Ben Tanker.
Marvin Sapp let him do Trillville's joint.
Yeah.
So. Wait.
Listen, I just don't know. Listen, gospel is always borrowed from Christian always borrowed from gospel. Nowadays, I feel like we see more Christians borrowing from gospel and vice versa. But I mean, it still does, happen. DJ Rogers say you love me. Okay. Well, he's saying the same thing you're saying, Charles, is when he sent that. But yes, I'm hearing what Judon, the Be Encouraged joint. That's what I'm hearing, what Judon is talking about. But anyway, that's that. Anything else about this? I know we don't really care, but we care, but we don't. Beyonce be saying some risque things, though. Like Beyonce do be saying some risky things. Like
the song, the content of the song, like it. I think that if you don't have a good foundation in your walk with Jesus, and you listen to the song and you think, I'm about to be in the club, you know what I'm saying? Like that is no, you shouldn't. You should not be looking at the gray sweatpants and thinking about money. I mean,
blank,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
checks.
This is part of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what if she's a worldly artist?
For the world's view, it's like she's saying, yeah, I'm going to church in the morning, but I'm going to the club. I'm going in, I'm having fun. So I think there's a few ways to look at the song, right? Like you can be a lover of Jesus and have fun. Absolutely. Are we recommending young women in the church to drop it like a thotty? No, like we're not. We wouldn't recommend that. But I think for me, just the way that I process stuff, I pull out. I throw away the. I take
eat the meat and throw away the bones.
Right. So it's like for me, but that's not what everybody else is. Everybody else may not be processing like that. They may not be mature enough to take in the song and be like, not Judon saying the song trash, but that video gonna be fire.
He right. He is so right. The song is trash, but that video gonna be fire. And the JR song's funny with you ready for that video though.
I'm done.
But Izzy is right. Also, don't get your theology from Bay. I mean,
please, like what?
Yeah, please don't do that. No, but I'm just wondering. I mean, I really don't subscribe to or push like a Marcus Rogers or anything like that. That's not really my vibe, my YouTube to look out. But I did check out his Beyonce video, and she be saying some. I mean, like she talked about using the Holy Bible as a like doing her like to. She talked about using paper from the Bible during her cycle as almost like tamponish.
Say what now?
Wait.
Yeah.
I ain't heard that.
What are we talking about?
Okay. Well, maybe this is what Marcus Rogers she say. and he showed the lyrics, but
how old is he?
I don't know how old he is.
Because old people be swearing stuff, saying stuff.
No, he got to be like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Man, I wish I could find out.
Was it pages of the Bible? I feel like I don't know if it's the same song that I'm thinking about. I thought it was something else, but I could. Oh, you're talking about, that's what I thought. It's on the Lemonade.
Yes. I plug my menses with pages from the Holy Book.
But I don't know if she's talking about the Bible, because that came from a poem. That's a poet's words, and it's not necessarily her words. But I don't know if she's talking about the Bible or not. I think I know what song you're talking about, though.
I mean, I guess some people consider the Quran the Holy Book.
Right.
But you're saying those are not even her words. So that's from some poet or something, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, she said it.
So like I said, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I ain't trying to, go down that road. That's just not my bag. That's just not my bag. I understand that it's other people's bags, whatever. I'm not out here witch hunting. That's just not my deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's a little suspect too. There was just some suspect stuff.
There's a lot of suspect things, like these horses. I ain't trying to get into the
horses. Yes, these different color horses.
But I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the horses of the apocalypse and these different color horses she be on, and it just be a little suspect. But look, that's not my bag. That's not my tunnel. If it's yours, it's yours. It's not my bag. It's just
shout out to the horses.
You know what I'm saying?
Octavia said, serious question. Do y'all feel the way about TV and movies? TV and
movies. So he's pretty much saying, do y'all consume art and like TVs and movies? Do you have the same issue?
I do. It depends on what we talking about, or what, like, for me. And I don't say you should, you know what I mean? Like, everybody else shouldn't be watching this, and I think that's weird behavior. But for me, there's certain things I don't care to watch, because either I know how it's going to affect me mentally, or like I'm gonna be shook, or I'm gonna have nightmares, or whatever. Like, I don't take in everything, because that's me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take in every song. I don't take in every album. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it just depends on what we're talking about. We just having this conversation with London. Me and her was talking about it, because she likes some horror, not horror, but like scary stuff. And I'm like, I can't do it.
I know a lot of people that can't. I can do it too. I don't do it too.
Can't.
Well, I don't do. It's weird. I don't do a lot of horror. I take that back. That's not true. I don't. But I'm not. Man, it's weird. So here's the thing about movie and TVs. To me, I feel like you can contextualize it all a little bit better than you maybe. Whereas a song seems to be more personal.
Really?
And has music and stuff like that to it. So I'm thinking, okay, let's talk about this scripture's holy joint, right? Holy Bible menstrual cycle thing. Putting on your song and saying it's something you do versus maybe some character who is evil in a movie doing it. You know what I mean? It's a different level of context for me. Maybe. London, like, you ain't gonna be just dragging me on here. London's like, I consume it different though too. Music lives with me way deeper.
Longer. No. I was just telling her, like, it's certain stuff I just cannot.
Samara in the chat.
I cannot. But no, I get that. Music, I think music, because you can consume it regularly more than movies. I understand what you mean by that, like how it can live with you way deeper and longer. Because music, you can, like I said, you play it over and over and over again. It's just the way we can remember lyrics and stuff like that is, yeah.
Plus, I mean, and you'll call it what it wants. I do believe there's a different element when we're talking about music. I do believe music has a effect on people. I think music has
sure.
a bowling or a trance type effect.
Absolutely.
And where things can get in a little earlier. I mean, you think about, David literally driving away spirits out of Saul using music. London funny. And shut up, quote. I don't sound like that. It's good to have the microphone though, because I get to have my London voice. Let's see. But so anyway, we were definitely on that topic way longer than I thought we'd be. So because I thought I was at a part where I really didn't care. And I'm not sure, I'm not in their position. On to the next. Listen. So the truth finally kind of spoke in public about Ravi. Shouts out to the track stars. This was actually a really good interview. But Goss, what you see here?
So your man Truth was up there with the track stars down there in Atlanta. He said a few things, including his name change and a couple. I didn't see the whole interview, but just the highlights of his name change, really. And then this conversation was brought into the light for us to dissect. And I feel him. I stopped being disappointed a long time
Let's
ago.
get into the video real quick before you start giving your opinion. Hence the voice note I literally sent to you.
I forgot what it was.
Let's see here.
That's awesome,
and if you can,
all right, so this is all.
Can we
this is
speed
all
this
positive,
up or
man.
no?
No. I have another question.
It's gonna be a while, guys.
Wait till later.
Okay.
Are you open?
No, give it to me now.
I want to ask you. How, looking back, what is your opinion now of Ravi?
Oh, for sure.
How do you feel about that now? Were you disappointed? Because I loved Ravi.
Yeah.
Loved Ravi.
Yeah.
How do you feel now? Do you feel like, because you had the whole album with him?
Yeah, I toured with him. I traveled with him for 4 years.
Connected to him very strongly.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I just want to get that from you.
Oh, Truth was definitely getting that popping too. He
to answer
traveled
your
for
question
4
about
years.
being disappointed, I was not disappointed. Not at all.
Because he was doing it too, probably.
Again, welcome to Emmanuel's world.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel's world.
Yeah.
Listen.
Humans
are humans.
Nah, yo,
and humans are complex.
Talk about it.
And we are it's beauty and barbed wires.
Yeah.
That's what it means to be human.
Yeah.
It's Romans 7.
I don't know about
those
this
things
guy.
I thought I'd never do. I found myself doing. That's that same guy said, I press towards the mark of the prize of the high calling of Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
So there's a duality, and that's not to excuse in any way or try to provide a pass or seek to justify immoral behavior. That is to literally, if I'm just looking at it for what it is, it helps me to stay sober about who he was. I never thought him to be above anything that I found out about him. And it's not because he did anything to indicate that that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
It's just that I understand that he's a human.
You have to learn that about everybody.
Yeah. And, so many great leaders walk with clay feet.
Yeah.
When you read back into the life of Martin Luther King, there's a lot of stuff being dug up that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
It doesn't disqualify him in any way from, that stuff he had to answer to God about, obviously, and, answer to his wife at the time. But, doesn't change anything about the impact that he's made or who he's been. And I'm not here to say that impact should, here's what I don't want to say. I don't want for women to take what I'm saying as a casual response to an egregious act against women. So I want you to understand that too, Miracle, that that's not what I'm saying here. I'm not trying to minimize the impact, because I understand, sexual assault in any way or sexual misconduct in any way is difficult. You know, it's hard. It leaves scars that last forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I never want to come off like I'm minimizing what he did. I'm only speaking to the am I disappointed part of it.
Right.
No,
right.
I'm not disappointed. In terms of what he did, that's we can have a conversation around, that's a different conversation I think that we need to have. But in terms of, did it disappoint me? No, not at all. Yeah, I still hold him in the same regard. Yes, I do believe he is spending his eternity with the Lord. I literally had somebody last week say to me, do you think he went to heaven? Everybody's asked me that. Do you think he went to heaven? Did he go to heaven? Do you think he went to heaven? I'm like, yeah.
I think the fear may be, and you got to talk to him closer.
Yeah.
The fear whenever, because we've dealt with people who have fallen from grace in our lives, and he doesn't have a chance to see the rebound part, right? So we're talking about him, and he's not able to speak for himself anymore. I think the fear is always, was it real? You talked to him. Was it real?
Yeah.
Or was this?
Was what real?
His love for Jesus, his preaching, because I learned so much from him. And I think the fear whenever this happens is this person real or are they pretending?
Yeah, no, and I always am baffled by that question, honestly. Because I think I'm gonna start kind of 30,000 feet. Intuitively, it's real. There's something in you that knows sincerity when you feel it and when you hear it and when you see it. Now, granted, does that can you be tricked? Yeah, but it's hard to be tricked for 50 years. It's hard for 40 years of ministry to. So I am a bit baffled by that question when you watch the person's life really closely.
Right.
I think Ravi, like all of us, had some areas in his life that were unchecked. And that, I know he had to have wrestled with because I didn't know him. I know he had to have wrestled with it, but I don't see him as any different than us or any of our other heroes throughout the course of redemptive history, and even American history. We look at, we hate to have to use these examples because they're so cliche, but I think it's fitting to use a David to say, well, was it real? Well, yeah, because, I'm trying to figure out where, and I think this has to do with our theology too, because I think if your theology tells you that behavioral misconduct is some indication of a lack of genuineness and love for God, y'all can see why that question would arise.
Right.
But is that what that is? Is it possible for a person to have real life tensions and struggles that and still love God? That's the question. That's the broad question.
That's the big question.
Is there a space for me to have struggles and things that I wrestle with, whatever it might be? You follow me?
Yeah.
And still love God, or things that I even surrender to at times and still love God.
Yeah.
Is there a category for that? I think that's really what the Christian journey is.
I don't like this girl.
Yeah, I think that's why your album is so important, because I think for a lot of Christians, they see something like that and they say, that could never be me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That couldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
And then throughout your life, you realize, anything can happen to anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
You aren't above anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You aren't above anybody. And if you think you are, hold on.
You're in for a rude awakening. No, for real.
Yeah.
Your turn could be right around the corner, you know? And that's because we overestimate our own strength.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the biggest challenge that we have, which
true.
is the which is the root of self-righteousness.
Right.
The root of establishing your standard of righteousness as the standard of righteousness, even above God's. So much so that you become so much so that you are determining a person's eternal fate based on certain behavioral misconducts.
Yeah.
Like that is really a lot of self-righteousness.
Yeah.
Like because the first thing I do if I see something like that, I'm like, I go inward.
Yeah.
If I see failure, I'm like, oh, I know that.
Yeah, well, okay. Let me search my heart.
When I'm looking, listen, I am not. You know what I'm saying? And the older I get, the more things I can relate to in terms of the things that are egregious that you're like, how could they? That 10 years ago, I'd have been with you. I'm like, how could they? And now I'm like, man, I never did it before. But if I understand the trickery of the human heart correctly,
can happen,
if I understand how this thing is, one day I can be this, another day I can be that. Listen, there are images of El Chapo with his grandkids on his shoulders in a swimming pool with a smile on his face, playing with floaties and playing basketball in the pool.
Yeah.
El Chapo, the same man who is notorious for thousands of people got his 6 grandkids and they on his shoulders, they playing, he throw them in the water, playing basketball, playing with floaties. But what is that?
Yeah.
That is the complexity of the human nature. How can the same man responsible for being notorious for killing thousands love deeply his grandkids, cry over the death of his loved one?
Yeah.
Like, you see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying who Ravi is. I think it's inverted with Ravi.
Right. Yeah.
I think he was the righteousness of God in Christ. I believe he was passionately pursuing the heart of God. I believe he was sincerely doing ministry, really having a passion and a heart to untangle the knots in people's minds surrounding Christianity. Yeah. I believe that all of this was genuine, was real, 100%.
Yeah.
And he had a pocket that he wrestled with over here, a pocket of darkness.
Okay, so check it out, guys. I normally don't do a 10-minute video, so I appreciate you guys holding with us on that. I also don't want to soundbite truth. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I wanted Manny to be able to get his full viewpoint on that out. I didn't want to just take a soundbite of what he said and then have that joint. I didn't feel right about that. So I wanted to get a full breath of what Truth had to say. With that being said, all yours, guys.
It's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. I heard enough what I had to hear in the first 4 minutes. The other 5 minutes was like, all right, you're saying what everybody else says about when church people do stuff like this. Now, let me tell you what the points I disagree with. Manny. Well, first of all, I don't know. Is that Manny talking or is that the truth? Is that Emmanuel or is that the truth talking? You know what I'm saying? That's first and foremost. Because I don't know, man. First of all, there's no way that what do you say about that you don't know somebody and you could be around them a long time? No, you know people that you've been around with a long time. There ain't no I don't know. Yes, you do know.
I don't agree with that.
What are you talking about?
I don't. I can tell you right now that is not true.
I know all my people I've been around with for 4
No, you don't.
4
No,
5.
you
Yes,
don't.
I do. Yes,
No,
I do.
you don't. No,
yes, I do.
Listen to me when I tell you.
Listen to me when I tell you.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm not agreeing.
I'm not agreeing with you either.
Because I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I know Manny for a long time. Okay. So, and the reason why he's saying what he's saying, I'm not agreeing with what he's saying. So I'm not necessarily agreeing with all that he said.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, you can know a person for decades and still not know what the heck is going on in their life. You may think that you know, but you do not know it all. Please believe.
I know personally, I've had people that in a season I was extremely tight with, that I loved and they loved me, and I considered them brothers, and come to find out what they were doing or what was really going on in their lives at the time, I would have never known.
Same applies to Manny.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know what he was doing until we knew. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody.
I think my people just roll different then, because the people that I call brothers, people that I call super friends, like we have intentional conversations about all the things, because our ideology around this topic is that there's no way that we can be what we call ourselves brothers or real close friends or vulnerable or whatever if we're not being honest about everything that's going on in our lives. So
I love your viewpoint, Goss. I love your viewpoint. I love your ideals. I do.
All right. I'm just telling you what we do. So it's a situation of no, I ain't hurt. It's a situation. I mean, it's not like it's 10 or 12 people. Like I know that's probably impossible. But I'm talking about like 2 or 3 people, probably more so 2.
I feel
who I consider listen, I'm going to know everything about you, and I'm still going to be here. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to whatever. And you could be the bishop of a church, and I'm still going to be here with because I think that's why we're scared to tell people stuff about ourselves, because we have a reputation that we want to keep up, that we have to keep up, that that we have to keep going, or we're ashamed of the stuff that necessarily we really do. But if we have I'm thinking about the disciples, they was with Jesus and they was with them with around each other for mad long, we know 3 years for sure. But they probably knew James was doubting way before he even said it publicly. They probably knew that Peter was, whatever Peter's problems was, or Paul was a disciple. But they probably knew everybody's internal problems before necessarily it was made public. So I think when you have those deep relationships, or when you have these relationships, there's no way that he had no clue about what was going on with Ravi. I don't think so. I just disagree. I don't think that you can have the comment and say, I know this person for real, and then you have no clue that they have this going on. That just doesn't add up to me.
You can know somebody's issues and not understand that they are literally acting upon those issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
You can be brothers enough with somebody that they can admit to you what they struggle with, or you could just have seen their life enough to know they struggle in a particular area and believe that they're not actually activating those desires, wants, and temptations.
For sure.
No, because I'm going to ask.
But they ain't gonna tell you. That don't mean they're gonna tell you.
The point is they're not gonna tell you.
People are selective with what they are going to be honest about.
With who? Depends on with who.
No, sometimes if you want to project a certain image, you're gonna project what you want people to believe about you. And
if you don't have people that you really don't care or know that care about you so much that you feel like, I have to tell people this because of whatever deal or whatever pact or whatever you made. Y'all are acting like people can't be completely honest.
Not saying that.
That's impossible.
What I'm telling you is people have baggage and issues and their own experiences growing up. Listen, man, I've got people that I lived life with day in and day out, build ministries with, been in their weddings, whatever the case may be, and they do something that is just in my brain totally out of character, or not even totally out of character, but just you thought they would not do, and they did. And I told them, then one person I told, look, no matter what you do, I will always be there for you. You are my brother. So don't run away when you mess up. They still ran.
All right. Well, I think saying, and then my other part that I necessarily was side-eyed at, where Truth was saying he's not disappointed. And I don't know if he's not disappointed. That was why are you not disappointed? Everybody should be disappointed with somebody that big of a deal. They fall from grace in that way. So when he says he's not disappointed, to me, that's I feel like Truth knew, he just didn't want to say anything, or somebody knew. There's no way that nobody knew nothing. I just don't believe that. Especially the people that are close to the situation or around the situation. And, Truth said he traveled with him for 4 years, or even people who work for the ministry. I just don't believe that nobody knew. And this is such a big shock. This should be a big shock to us for sure. But people that were around him, I just don't think that was a big shock. I'm sorry. I don't think that it should be a big shock to everybody.
I just want to interject. So, a good friend of mine worked for Ravi for a long time, longer than Truth even knew him. Okay. She had no idea. None. Nobody did. But she did say there were certain things, just like Manny mentioned, there were things that were unchecked, and he minimized it a little bit. But in my friend's eyes, it was like, this man always traveled alone. You're traveling to this country by yourself. You're traveling to that country by yourself. Oh, we wouldn't go on the same plane. We would meet him at a location. He had his own plane. You see what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. So she was like, I thought it was odd. However, nobody knew still. And like Shakia said, it's not like he confessed or got caught. Like there were some things that came out prior to him passing, right? And there was things that he was fighting or whatever. That whole situation wasn't that he never did. He even say, well, he did deny it. He did deny it. But the other things we talking about young we talking about young people, young ladies who were workers, who were raped and like stuff like that. Like that's a whole nother conversation. No one knew. His own son is still saying he's innocent. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though there's mad proof, right? There's all this proof. Anyway, I'm saying all that to say the people that were very close with him worked with him very closely and had absolutely no idea. So it is absolutely possible to do that and not know. Why would he tell somebody, oh yeah, I raped somebody, I groped somebody when they weren't like somebody like a Ravi Zacharias? Like, huh?
Sure. I feel you. I just don't think that absolutely. I mean, that young lady you spoke of might not know, but I just feel like he's too big and too big of a name that there's no way that nobody in this whole world knew, didn't know, and that he was just keeping this to himself and got away with it, I guess, for mad long. But I think the other parts of the interview that Truth was talking about was that like I think it minimizes when we bring stuff like our human nature to light, which we should bring it to the forefront when we mess up and things like that. But I just think it minimizes the emphasis on us living right if we're all at the end of the day just gonna mess up and we're all at the end of the day gonna be human. Like I don't know, like I feel like the emphasis of living right is uneven with the emphasis of grace. And it's because of our top leaders who we would look up to and we would, like couldn't fathom that they would have fell. And I'm not saying put faith in man or put faith in your pastor or these big names. But I think we're slowly de-emphasizing like the right thing, I feel like, because of this grace thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we're abusing grace.
Okay. I think that's a true statement that we are probably abusing grace in some form or fashion. I mean, I think that's something we're probably doing. I definitely agree with that. Brina?
Yeah. And I do agree with what Corey was saying, because it's like, a lot of times when we come into situations like this, a lot of people will reference David all the time, but we never hear about Joseph or Daniel. Like, there are people who make two different types of decisions. Like, not everybody sinned. Like, it is possible to run. It is possible to be like Daniel. He said, I'm not going to defile myself. And it's like, I think it works both ways. You acknowledge that, yeah, you're not perfect. You're not above falling. I think that's one of those, situations that we got to look at. Everybody has to constantly examine themselves every single day. And this is why, because, yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, I do think it's possible that, even though he did travel with him for 4 years, he probably didn't know. There's a lot of things that go on and people are shocked. And I think Daryl mentioned in the chat, about the disciples who are all sitting, around the table with Jesus, and Jesus said, one of you is going to betray me. And none of them suspected it was Judas. So it's possible. It's possible. People are going to project what they want you to see, and they're going to hide the things that they don't want you to find out about. And that's just how human nature works. Adam even tried hiding from God, which is virtually impossible. So
right.
People going to do what they do.
Do what they do.
Yeah. You had anything else on that, Trish?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with what Brina's saying, and some of what Corey was saying. And Charles said it good. He said we prop up leaders as the standard when Jesus is the standard, and like that's a fact. Yeah, and I think it is hard to come out of that mentality. Sometimes you have to be sobered by someone's demise, which is, it's not a fun thing to watch. Is that, when it happened with Manny and even Ambassador, we were a part of that, and that was hard. That was like life-changing for so many people.
I could imagine.
Life-changing, and I shout out Manny for just the way he came back. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, I'm grateful to the Lord for him, repenting and coming back to his wife and being like, yo, I'm sorry, I messed up. So yeah, it's a difficult thing to see, but yeah, I think we have to get out of like putting these leaders on such a high pedestal, and that grace piece that you talked about, Corey, like it is kind of an imbalance, and I don't know, so much of this happening, so many leaders.
I don't even know though. I get what you're saying. Don't put them on a high pedestal, but I do think we should put them on some pedestal, because the Bible does say that preachers and teachers deserve double honor, and they deserve to be looked at differently. Like, they're not just regular lay people. So therefore, if we're not regular, you're on a pedestal. Like, you're up there above. Like,
you have to break down what that double honor means. I do know what you're saying in the New Testament where that's said.
But there's plenty of scriptures in the New Testament that separate the difference between sheep and a shepherd.
Right.
That's the difference. Or we're talking about what?
Well, I was just gonna say they're still regular people. Like, I think.
Nah, that gives them the pass though. If we look at them like that, that gives them the pass.
When we look at them like regular people, no. I think when we look at them as they're different.
They are.
In terms of title and roles, they are different. Yes, they have different roles. I do not think that they are more superhuman than the lay people. Like, I think, and maybe I'm not using the correct wording, but like Daryl said, de-idolize your Christian leaders. When we idolize them and put them on this,
not idolize.
But right. I'm saying I think that's the issue. People idolize these leaders as their God.
But we're acting like
Jesus.
Oh, no, that's crazy. Right, that's crazy.
That happens, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but I'm saying, yes, if this is the pedestal the people put them on, this is the regular people, bring them down just a notch. But they're still up there, right? And when they're up there, you expect certain behaviors. You expect, because you're sitting under their churches, you're giving to their churches because you think, hey, this person has information that I need. Like an employer and a boss are two different people. And a boss has power. A boss has power to fire you, to tell you what to do all kinds of stuff. So your pastor has authority in your life, if you give him authority in your life, to tell you to do something. That's why they're we're not the same. We're different. So that's why I think they should be put on a pedestal, but just not the highest one that is I'm better than you.
I don't like that phrase that they
Yeah.
should be put on a pedestal. Like,
Yeah.
because when we in our culture in society, when we say that, that's not a positive thing. Like putting someone on a pedestal is like putting them again above. A lot of times it's above God, and I'm like, no. So when I hear you saying, I know that's not what you're saying, but that's how I'm like taking it. So
Gotcha.
maybe it's just the wording, but
it's like I get it. It's like what he's saying, like in terms of like hierarchy and levels of authority, right. Like because of their roles and responsibilities,
different.
Then yeah, you reverence them and respect them as leadership, but then also they're going to be held accountable more so than a lay person because of what they're required to teach. And I think that's the big piece of it too. Like, yeah. So I get what he's saying.
But people are saying don't put him on a pedestal at all, or don't put him above at all.
Well, in terms of like, you don't want to make an idol out of that person.
Yeah. The phrase pedestal normally is attached to some level of idolization. And that's what they're saying per se not to do. There is a level of respect or honor or standard that, you might be able to put on them or expect from them.
For sure.
But, be careful. Scriptures say trust no man. So, I'm just saying. So anyway, all that to say,
my head hurts.
I thought this was a very, very good interview by the track stars, one of their best. I had to shoot Sean a message afterwards, like, look, that was a good interview, dude. Only one thing I would say is I wish Sean didn't bring in the disappointment factor. I think the first question he asked, he probably should have just let him go off of that. He first said, so how do you feel about Ravi now? And that should have been probably the question. When he started going into, he said, how do you feel about Ravi now? Like, are you, and then he went into the, are you per se disappointed? And that, so the question then became focused on levels of disappointment instead of, how do you feel about Ravi now? You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. But ultimately, like I said, truth is going to talk. And, I think they eventually get around to all of that. I think Judon said it. I think what truth was more saying, more than just saying not being disappointed, I think maybe Manny was more so saying, I'm not surprised by it, whatever the case may be. And then I think Manny did make some really good points about, just how salvation works and humanity and people and things of that nature. I do believe those. It doesn't mean that people shouldn't be held to a standard. It doesn't mean that that we don't expect more for them. It doesn't mean that what he did was not horrible, you know what I mean, or whatever the case may be. But does it terminate his salvation? I think most of us would understand that that's a no. You know what I mean? I don't know how a person could be in those kind of situations. Oh yeah, I guess maybe I do see, all that private stuff, no accountability, nobody going with you, different things of that nature. I do understand how that can get sticky. But so he was, he was doing the massage parlor thing. He was doing the Deshaun Watson, you know what I mean? And
wait, who is Deshaun Watson? I saw that comment earlier. I don't know if I know who that is.
Yeah, it's a sports thing. So, he's a quarterback who was with the Texans who I think over 50 women have come out and said that, he assaulted them in some way, a lot of times through massage parlors and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be. But there's also been no proof and, different things of that nature. And there's some other things going around. But anyway, all that to say, it's unfortunate, very, very unfortunate that it went down the way it did. I think Manny made some great points. But I also agree with Goss at the same time, like, there does need to be a standard, and sometimes we get off on it. But at the same time, there is a level of self-righteousness that we jump into as well, thinking that it could never happen to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm literally in my brain right now thinking it could never happen to me. But I think my heart knows something different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's kind of how that works out. It was interesting, that conversation. Again, great interview by the track stars. So that's that. I know the chat was going crazy on that, but I think we're gonna keep it moving to the other joint as I see y'all starting to fade.
Definitely.
So,
What other joint? That was the last one.
that was not the
It
last
was
one.
not the last one. But we could table it if you want.
Let's make it the last one.
Nah. Let's finish up. We literally had less
it's
topics than we normally do.
2:15.
It is not 2:15.
We're at 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, like it is not 2:15.
Like 2:15 where? Where you at?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So,
on Midwest time.
this last joint here, I think is gonna go fairly quick anyway. But I'll let Trisha go ahead and set that joint up real quick and we'll hit that video.
Oh, I'm setting it up. Oh, my bad. Yep,
yeah.
sorry. I heard it, but I'm tired. My bad. All right. So over the weekend, I guess, this guy had an interview with this other married man. The guy who's interviewing is single. He's talking to a married man, and he's asking him like, why some women don't want to cook and clean anymore. And the guy's like, well, I mean, sometimes women are tired. You know what I mean? So the conversation gets really interesting. So let's play that, John.
What whole thing?
Why don't the women want to cook and clean for the men anymore?
Because they're tired, bro. They have to go to work every day. That's not hard.
They're tired?
Yeah, they got to go to work every day, just like you.
What are they tired of?
Of working. It's not hard. I mean, that shouldn't even be like, I don't even understand the question. Like, they're tired. Aren't you tired when you get home from work?
They're working every day, so they're tired. That's why I don't want to cook or clean.
Why he acting stupid? Yeah. Like he didn't hear what
I
he
want
said.
to work 8 hours and then come home and then cook and clean. I mean, I do it because I have to. I have 5 children. But yeah, I mean,
do you have a woman right now?
What's that?
Do you have a woman right now?
I've been married since I've been married for over 20 years.
Okay. Does your wife work?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are the roles in a marriage?
What are you talking about, roles? Everybody does what they have to do.
Well, okay, what do you do? What does she do?
For a living?
No, in the house for the marriage. What do you guys do? What are your roles?
Role? I don't understand the question. She does what needs to be done that day if she has time to do it, and if she doesn't, I do it. I do what needs to be done that day, and if I don't have time to do it, she does it.
How do you not know what roles are in a marriage? You're married for 20 years. You guys don't have any roles?
Exist. Because those don't exist. Like, I'm not white. I'm not a white Christian man. I don't.
What are you talking about? I'm not white. What does that have to do with anything?
Oh, because you're trying to live up to like some white supremacist ideal of the
what are you
nuclear
talking
family.
about?
I don't subscribe
Nobody
to
said
that.
nothing about no supremacy.
Teamwork makes the dream work, friend. We a team. Ain't no roles.
What do you mean there ain't no roles?
No roles.
It's not that hard
bro.
to understand. You said, why do women not want to cook?
Why is he acting like this?
Work.
Okay.
I answered that question.
Okay.
You said, what are your roles? I said, we're a team.
If there's something that needs to be built in the house, who builds it? You or your wife?
Whoever's good at it.
Depends on what it is.
Right.
What do you mean depends on what it is?
Exactly.
Like if it's a toy for the kids, you know what I'm saying? My wife's better at putting stickers on, so she builds it. But if we're talking about
that's not building nothing, man.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Stickers on something? You've lost it.
It's still a task. But my wife's an interior designer, so she can build anything.
I ain't got time for no foolishness. He gone.
He don't got time for himself.
Yeah.
Yo, and so then he brings on a bunch of other dudes to further try. I didn't get the chance to watch that whole video of him and the other dudes that he brought on that had the same opinion as the host. Anyway, I didn't get a chance.
They tried to call that man feminine because they said he wasn't being man enough to take care of his house. Something. All I remember is him calling him feminine, and I was like, huh? How? I'm confused.
Gotcha. So I told y'all this was going to be a quick topic. Anybody got any thoughts on that at all? Whether it's the roles or why women aren't cooking and cleaning more?
Man, the host is stupid.
First of all, who is this uncircumcised Philistine in the first place? I've never seen him before.
Right, and he's getting all these views because of this darn video.
This is a mess.
Oh, this is uncircumcised Philistine.
I love it.
Goss, what you think about this, man?
It's stupid. The host is being dumb. I don't think he believes that. I think he just wants to get a reaction or trying to get some content out of whatever.
Yeah.
Because
these cats believe this nonsense, dude.
Nah, I don't think he believes it, man. He can't. It's impossible.
It's not impossible.
No.
You're right. It's not impossible.
I'm going to tell you why it's not impossible in a second. Go ahead.
But yeah, it was stupid. Like, he shouldn't have. Like, that's if he's telling you his truth and if you disagree with his truth, then that's on you. But like, he's telling you the questions. I mean, the answers to your questions. Just because you don't agree with it, you can't get mad.
Right.
Cool. So of course, I think we all can come to the agreement that the guy in the lower right-hand corner was telling the absolute truth. And the guy who was hosting or whatever was, of course, a little crazy. I will say this, though. I will say this. When you are raised a certain way, and you're raised believing this, or even raised seeing this, you do have a hard time making the switch. And that's my story. Obviously, everything that the guy in the lower right-hand corner makes absolute sense to me. She's tired. Why would she come home and cook and clean or whatever? She's tired. She worked 8 hours like you work 8 hours and different things of that nature. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't ever told my wife she had to cook or clean. That's just not how I get down. I will order something quick in a hurry. Oh, okay. So we door dashing. Okay. Yeah. You don't feel like, okay, we're door dashing. That's what we're doing. At the same time, I was not raised to do a lot of the domesticated things where the roles are kind of shifting right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? I wasn't necessarily raised like that. My parents didn't teach me how to cook. I never learned. That's who I am. That's my story, right, wrong, indifferent. I never learned how to cook, barely boil water. So that's that. Cleaning, is something that I do. I do clean around my house or whatever the case may be. Probably not as much as maybe needs to happen or whatever the case may be, but I do clean. I do make sure to clean. I handle the dishes and different things of that nature, stuff like that. So I'm obviously not as an extreme as one of these people. I do just want to say in reference to this, that there is an adjustment happening in culture, right? A lot of us were, especially if we're a little older, we're raised on some of these roles. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And we were. And now we're finally starting to see, oh, okay, well, this ain't right, or this ain't how it should be, or we should probably work more together, or whatever the case may be. But the switch up ain't always as easy as you might think. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not coming from a point of demanding that anybody do anything, because that's just nonsense. But, like I said, I might be the one to be like, yo, well, we door dashing tonight, then. I'm going to order out. We're going to make sure, because we're going to make sure everybody eat. You know what I mean? I just ain't the one to cook it because I don't cook. You know what I'm saying? So if any cooking's happening, my wife is the one that's going to be doing it because I don't really cook. I'll order out or whatever the case may be. I don't even see the efficiency in cooking. It's just, I don't understand it. But anyway, I'm sorry. This is just the truth. This is just the truth about me. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, I wanted to bring light as that topic came up and as that was sent in as something we would talk about, to the fact that roles and things are changing. And I believe the next generation will probably be better for it. I also believe that the next set of men are being raised in a way that they're learning how to maybe cook and do all these things or whatever the case may be. They're not necessarily learning how to fix anything, so y'all can forget about that. But they'll be able to cook and clean. You know what I mean? You'll still have to hire somebody to come in and fix something. Don't get it twisted. But the cooking and cleaning thing, I think, is starting to be understood. But it is still a role change and role reversals and just roles in households in general in 2022, especially Black households. It is a interesting suffrage, type of. It's interesting what that is. So I just wanted to add to that conversation, to that standpoint as well. Anybody got anything about that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think biblically speaking, right? Like there is, there's a mandate for in terms of roles, right? However, it's even if your husband is the head of the household, the woman takes care of the home. That does not mean that the husband can't help with the house duties and the wife can't, make or implement any type of decision or opinion on the decision, right? Because I respect my husband and look to him to make the final decision, and I am fully able to give my opinion on a thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, however, whatever works in your house, that's what it is. Like right now, lots of things have switched. I was at home with the kids since 2010. You know what I'm saying? Working from home, having my own business off and on. But now I'm working full time and he was home with the kids doing homeschool. You know what I'm saying? So things like different seasons call for different situations. You know what I mean? And so this man who is disrespectfully talking to this man like what he's saying is crazy, it's out of control. It's just out of control. This man been married over 20 years and you single. What we talking about?
Was he single? Was he single?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
wow.
Who you talking to? Like
That's funny.
I don't understand. But
That's
yeah,
interesting.
it's I think we can talk about this subject in multiple different ways. But yeah, I think, whatever works for your home and y'all are all in agreement, do that.
Goss, Sabrina? Nope. So
nothing.
Yep. So I'll continue on then. So another thing is, like I said, these roles is twisted anyway. Just we've talked about this plenty of times. I always make this statement: the roles are being twisted anyway. As again, Black women are becoming homeowners more than even, I believe, Black men are going to college and graduating college more, starting business more, different things of that nature. So the roles are changing, guys. Just you have to really. It's a new day, you know what I mean, per se. It's a new day. So, but I think it's a very important, and this is my pastor, he says this all the time. And matter of fact, if y'all caught that viral video that went on, I think about a week or two ago, where it was a pastor talking and he laid down and his wife sat on him. If y'all caught that, anybody caught that? Anyway, that was my pastor, that video that went around. But so we talk more about purpose than roles. What is your purpose? As a man, as a husband, as a father, what is your purpose? Because roles are going to change, but purpose, it still stands, whatever the case may be. So my pastor speaks about men or husbands being the foundation of the family. Not cats want to be at the top. They see themselves as a head, and they think head means top. No, head is get low. Head is the foundation. Scripture refers to Christ as the chief cornerstone, the one in the foundation holding everything together, per se, or making sure that things can be, built on top of, or whatever the case may be. And so when you have your purpose as a husband and you understand that, you don't get so caught up with the roles or the insecurities that can come with the roles, the way the world is changing and different things of that nature. So anyway, that's my last bit of soapbox there. Anybody else?
He doesn't want to be Kevin Samuels. Absolutely. I do believe that for sure.
One whole red flag.
For sure. So that is what it is. I think everybody else is in the chat. Everything is good there. Again, thank you guys for hanging hanging with us, whether it was Izzy, whether it was Charles, Kiera, of course, Miss Danielson, Rashonda, of course, J.R. Psalms, Tosh in here for a little bit. She probably sleep now. Daryl, Judon, the other Daryl, Stephen the Levite, Octavius. So many of you guys in the chat. Appreciate you guys hanging with us here at the Tastemakers Pod, where we do this every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Just letting you guys know exactly what's going on in the culture. We keep it grown, we keep it fresh, we keep it Christian, and we definitely keep it black. That be Trisha Bell. That's your man, C. Goss. That's Brina. They call me, quote, we are the Taste Makers, and we'll see you next time.
You say taste niggas?
we them niggas too. We the
Tastemakers.
Classic. We do more than make a living, we make a life. When everything is dark, we are the light. We are the Tastemakers, aight. Let tomorrow tell the stories that we make tonight. We do more than make a living, we make a life. When everything is dark, we are the light. We are the Tastemakers, aight. Let tomorrow tell the stories that we make tonight. For the movers and shakers, for the new tastemakers, sommeliers came out to play. Classics in the current day. For the movers and shakers, for the new